My name is Deshaun. I'm a Spring Developer Advocate. I love my job, and I'm jazzed to be here. I do. I love what I do. This is a presentation that was actually created by my teammates, but it's a topic that I do. I don't present about it very often. I'm more hands-on doing it day to day. So I'm gonna try to give you a blend of like, hey, here's the product overview, here's like what we do, how we do, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of what happens real with customers when we're trying to do this from start to, hey, we're operating and we're doing this with automation. Sound good? I'm also gonna say this. When you come to my house for dinner, if you leave hungry, that's your fault. I will feed you, all right? And in this session, I know this stuff pretty well. I don't have it timed, I don't have an agenda. If you've got questions, raise your hand. Can you raise your hand, everybody? Yeah? Yeah, fantastic. If you've got questions, don't leave hungry. If you don't ask, that's your fault, okay? We're on the same page? Fantastic. Upgrading. I'm a Spring Developer Advocate. So recently, it seems like it was just yesterday, we released Spring Framework 6 and here's my disclaimer page. Everybody first quick read all of that. I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna talk about any of that stuff, but maybe. I might do it on accident. Sometimes I don't know what's been released and what hasn't, so disclaimer. Does this look like anybody? Right, doing the upgrade. This is not my demo. You can tell this is not my demo because I normally don't put the animations and the cool, this is a professional presentation. Mine don't look professional. Upgrading it's been a pain. It was 2 years ago, one of the people in the audience was on stage and he was like, look, you're a developer, you go to bed, everything's fine. You wake up in the morning due to no fault of your own, and there's bugs, there's CVEs, and you gotta patch it. CISO is saying, hey, you gotta go fix this. But all they did was tell you that there's a problem. They didn't give you any solution, right? How many people have been there? How many people are getting emails saying, hey, you gotta go patch something, right? That's a common thing. Yeah, and this whole shift left. I've got a real opinion about shift left. Shift left, when I hear it, when I said it, I was saying, just shift it all the way down to the developers. They'll take care of it. They'll take care. We don't have to do anything automation. Give it to the developers. They don't have enough on their plate, right? But now I'm a developer advocate. So when I say shift left, I mean shift left to the platform. Whatever the platform means in your world, shift left to where the automation is, right? Don't let it be a production problem. Shift left to where the automation is. But please, don't put it in the hands of the developers. I'm not gonna read through these slides. We're gonna have fun. There's a better way to upgrade. So there's some solutions here. There's tons of solutions. How many people have heard of Dependabot? Dependabot. How many people have been burned by a Dependabot upgrade? Right? Oh, not as many hands. I'm surprised. Okay, there's some hands. They were embarrassed. I was embarrassed. Dependabot's great, but what Dependabot does, and Sneak, I don't know what the other icon is, but these versions that are like, hey, there's a CVE in the version that you're using. Use this new version and go. And I think even GitHub will kind of give you that automation. It'll say, hey, you want to connect Dependabot? It'll bump your versions. But if there's a breaking change, guess what? Yeah, you're in trouble. The people that raise their hand, they know. Sometimes bumping that version leads to other problems. When you thought you were just doing a little patch, it was a ... version, and now you've got a bigger problem to fix. It's broken. So hopefully you've got a way to roll back, but then you're rolling back to a CVE, and maybe they won't let you do that. There's a lot of things, and different organizations have different problems with how they get to production. Sometimes dependencies are quarantined. Sometimes, and this is an opinion, the idea hey, if this is quarantined, if I'm going from a version 1.x to a version 2.x, but 2.x is quarantined, I'm trying to get to 5.x. But if I'm going from 1.x that has CVEs, yeah, of course it does, but I go to 2.x. One of the problems that I see in customers is that 2.x, even though it has CVEs, even though it's outdated and it's old and it's been quarantined, it's still better than the 1.x. So if I can tell you nothing else today, this is the one thing I want you to be aware of. That situation where, hey, I've got something that's feature complete. It's been in production for years, maybe 10 years, and it hasn't been updated and it's got CVEs. I understand that. What you don't want to do is go from 1.x to 5.x. You don't want to take that big chunk and do that big change and try to go to production from 1.x to 5.x. Just hear me now, listen to me later. If you see that, avoid it at all costs. what you want to do in this. And when I say this, as a developer advocate, as part of my role, I'm helping you actually do this. Raise your hand if I've helped you with an upgrade so far, if I've worked with you on upgrade migrations, okay? So the things that I'm telling you, the things that I'm telling the people that raised their hands, I'm gonna share with you the things that I've learned from the other people that were raising their hands, right? We all haven't met each other yet, but also all the other customers that aren't here. This is a part of what I do every day, is this upgrade. So I'm gonna tell you these things. Hear me now, listen to me later. There's a better way. Dependabot and Sneak are great tools, but they're not the only one. Yeah, you bump that dot version. Before we had things like Maven, before we had Ivy, before we had these nice dependency trees and we had a nice way to resolve our dependencies, how many people were using Ant? Not just me, I'm not that old, just kidding. Yeah, back when we had just Ant, we had to do this kind of dependency management ourselves, right? It was, hey, pull this version of the Postgres JDBC, pull this version of Spring Data JDBC, and hope they work together, right? And sometimes we're even storing those libraries in our version control, but every time we changed one of those libraries, we might have broken the entire thing. So thank you, Spring Boot. Thank you for the release trains so that we know that we're on a Spring Boot version. We get these versions, everything in the release train is gonna be compatible. Thank you. Yeah, it is a complex problem. How many people have looked at an SBOM lately? Right? Dependencies all the way down. My thing only has 3 dependencies in it, but when you look at the SBOM, there's 800 libraries. And that's in Java. Have you seen one in Node? Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Spring Application Advisor is a tool. But before we had Spring Application Advisor, we had Open Rewrite. How many people have heard of Open Rewrite? Fantastic. Open Rewrite is a framework. This is for the people that didn't raise their hand. Open Rewrite is a framework that allows you to upgrade software. But it's not just bumping a version. It's not going out and looking at a source and saying, hey, here's a new version. It's actually gonna upgrade the version, but it also gives you a way to write a recipe. A recipe. Code that knows how to change your code. So if I'm working in Java, I can write a recipe, and that recipe can be in YAML for simple things, but I can also have a Java program that says, hey, everywhere that I'm using this method with 2 parameter inputs, I need to change it to this new non-deprecated method, and it's got 3 inputs. And that recipe will know how to go from the 2 inputs to the 3. It'll give the default values, it'll make it so that your code still works. But it's not just a search and replace either. You can replace full methods. You can change libraries. You can change dependencies. How many people have had to migrate from Hystrix to Resilience4j, even in the Spring community, right? You have these things that are just no longer supported anymore. Somebody earlier in the conference was talking about switching from Access to Spring Web Services. These making migrations, not just bumping versions, but making migrations off of something that's no longer supported, right? This is one of those things that we do. Open Rewrite helps us do that. It started with Java, but now it's made its way across a bunch of other languages and frameworks, and it's a good tool. So we built on top of that. Advisor, our application advisor, helps us bring in those recipes. We know Spring. If you didn't know that, Tanzu is where all the Spring committers are. That Tanzu is taking care of the Spring community, the committers, all the new releases, and of course, it's open source, so we get a lot of input from the others, but we have full-time employees around the world that are building Spring, which is the world's most popular framework for Java. And we take care of that. So the advisor is a tool. Wouldn't it be nice? How many people have ever been in a situation where, and I'm thinking of one in particular, where I had a great idea. It was gonna save my company thousands of dollars and thousands of hours each month. But it was a breaking change. It was an API that I wrote, that I was maintaining, and I wanted to do this, but I couldn't get those changes. I couldn't say, hey, 500 customers that are using this platform at scale, I need you to go and make this change. This is a breaking change. Go fix this. When I knew how long it took them to get it started in the first place. But I had a solution here that would save us thousands, save us tons of time, and it would help our customers. It would deliver a better experience. But what I couldn't do is say, hey, customers, go make these changes. Oh, how I wish I had Open Rewrite. I wish I had the ability to say, hey, I've got a solution that's gonna do something better for us, but it's a breaking change, but if I deliver a recipe along with it, I can deliver that breaking change. I can make that a part of the package that I deliver, and it'll rewrite their code so that now they're using the new API, not the deprecated version. That's a huge benefit. So as the Spring team, think of their project. Think of the Millions of users that are using Spring around the world. Think of what we just had to do with Spring Framework 6 and Spring Boot 3. What we had to do is we said, we're gonna rebase. We're gonna move the baseline from Java 8. We would support you all the way back to Java 8. We're gonna move that to 17 so we can give you some of these new capabilities. We wanna give you some of that benefit. But in order to do that, you gotta change. And that was in 2022. Everybody was up in arms, like, whoa, wait, you're gonna make us change Java versions? But why? We're here, we're happy in Spring Boot 2.7. Java 17, that's required. You had to get to Java 17 in order to use Spring Boot 3. How many people have made that leap, right? How hard was it? Did you use Open Rewrite? So my first year on the Spring team, I was out helping customers. I want you to be on Spring Boot 3. I want you to use Java 17. Let me help you, right? And we had conversations. And you're like, what do I do? How do I do this? How do I get all of those benefits? And we helped. And at that time, we just had Open Rewrite. But what I did, we learned from our customers that were trying to deliver these Open Rewrite recipes at scale. We had another project called Spring Boot Migrator that helped us. We learned some things from that. We had a lot of customers that were forking that repository and building automation around it, and it worked. And actually, I don't have a slide for this, but I've told many of you this before. At a minimum, what I've been able to do since 2022, doing this, upgrading, using Open Rewrite recipes, using Spring Boot Migrator, using the Application Advisor, at a minimum, if you do it across your whole repository, all of your applications, at a minimum, what's been reported back to me is 15%. 15% of the applications that you're gonna upgrade are gonna upgrade without you opening an IDE. Let's take a quick look at a demo. This demo that I show quite often. Let's see if we can make it work. Is that big enough in the back if I do this? This is a demo that I share with everybody. It's free, it's available out on GitHub, and I even have like the script in here. It's a hands-free demo because I do it so often. I say, hey, we're gonna start with Java 8, don't do this at home. We're gonna clone a Spring Boot 2.6 application, don't do this at home. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start it up. It's Spring Boot, it's running on Java 8. Java 8's still great. You can have applications that were written in the 90s against Java 1. It's still gonna work, it's Java. Okay, I'm gonna check that it's healthy. It works. My application works fantastic. This part of the demo is done. Let's see how much memory it's using. 476.3 megabytes on this run. So let's stop it. Let's upgrade it because I'm a little uncomfortable. Java 8 and Spring Boot 2.6, that's too much. So let's stop. Now, let's run some recipes. Actually, before we run the recipes, this one's using Application Advisor. It's gonna go in and look at that repository and build some metadata. It's gonna determine that software bill of materials all the way down. It's gonna determine which Java version you're using, which tools you're using, Maven or Gradle, and it's gonna show which versions of that you're using so that it can make some decisions, because not only is it gonna help you upgrade your software, what about all the other things that have to upgrade? If you're using Gradle, you can't upgrade until you get to Java 7 or Gradle 7. You gotta upgrade your versions too. So here's the plan, a step-by-step plan that takes you safely through each milestone. Don't go from 2.6 to 3.5. There's dragons there. Go step by step, small steps. So I'm doing this. I'm gonna apply all of them. I did the Squash-9, a new feature, but don't do this at home. This is just for demo purposes. Now, wait, why did it say it's still in 2.6? Oh, because that wasn't the first step. It was gonna upgrade the Java version. Did it do the -9? It's upgraded. Now it's only on 224 megabytes. So we did an upgrade. I didn't pay attention. I don't know what upgrade it did, but it's only 224 megabytes. That's fantastic. So this upgrade story, going from Java 8, Spring Boot 2.6 to Spring Framework 6, Java 17, Spring Boot 3, whatever it's on, that's fantastic. The amount of time, however many seconds that was, I'm saving money for the company. Not only am I saving money based on that, how much memory it's using, but I'm also more secure. So because now I'm on Spring Boot 3, at least, and now I'm on Java 17, at least, I did one more step in this demo and I built a native image. Back when Java 6 came out, or when Spring Framework 6 and Spring Boot 3 came out, that was really exciting to me. The idea that I could take these enterprise-grade, production-ready Spring Boot apps, and I could build a native image, and it still works, and it would fit on my Raspberry Pis. Again, I don't have cloud money. I have Raspberry Pi money. So I was deploying these Spring Boot apps to Raspberry Pis because the amount of memory that it takes, let's see if it's gonna become healthy. I hope it's gonna become healthy, otherwise that's an awful demo. It's doing a loop saying, hey, are you up? And it might fail, I don't know why. We'll skip that part, that's fine. Here's another run. This is another run, it didn't have our demos, but we saved some money, we saved some performance. That one didn't finish either, that's okay. We're gonna keep on going. The upgrade story is real. We use the application advisor to make those updates. Let's continue. Close, maybe. Let's go back. Wait, am I here? We learned as customers were trying to automate those open rewrite recipes, we got feedback, and we learned we didn't want this in the developer's hands. We wanted to have a solution that wasn't an application that we deployed. We wanted to have a solution that we could deliver both to the developers if they needed it, but also it would be put into automation. Because some of our customers have 40,000, 50,000, 140,000 repositories that are using Spring. And in order, even if you had 100,000 developers, to do an upgrade from Spring Boot 2.6, to how much time is that gonna take? Is it worth it? Right? When you can have automation, we can do this at scale, it becomes worth it. Not only is it worth it at that point, Netflix has said publicly, 2 years ago, actually, the same time you were on stage, Netflix said, when we went from Java 8 to Java 11, we saved 10%, or we got a 10% performance boost. We went from Java 11 to Java 17, we got another 10% performance boost. And again, from 17 to 21, another 10% performance boost. So it doesn't matter if you're the entire Netflix organization or if you're just one line of business, if you're just one part of Netflix. At Netflix scale, a 10% performance improvement is real money, right? So now I want you to think, if I'm doing these upgrades, if I was able to upgrade from Spring Boot 2 to Spring Boot 3, from Java 17 to then Java 21 when we got virtual threads, from Java 21 to Java 25, which comes out on September, anyone? 16th, right? Just a couple days away. When that comes out, we're gonna get more of this performance improvement. And we're gonna get it with this automation. We're gonna get it at scale with that automation across all the repositories. This is upgrading, this is software maintenance, and this is what I think is the most important feature of software development today. It's how easy is it to maintain. Now, I've been saying this for years. How easy is it to maintain? But now we've got a new problem. I don't know if you guys knew this. We have a lot of people that are using these new tools, Gen AI tools, to build applications, to get it to work. And a lot of, I got it to work, this is great, I got a new startup. Maybe you've heard a story about a vibe-coded app that they take into production, and then 10 days later, they're like, oh no, I've got traffic. Oh no, it's not secure, what do I do? We've got more problems today. The idea of maintainable software is more important today than it was before this Gen AI craze popped up. It's more important now. And this maintainability is important as well. But also because of this Gen AI craze, the bad actors have more tools. And sometimes it's hard to think about that. But for as easy as it is for you to go and vibe code a new app, the bad actors who are trying to, a new CVE is the dinner bell for the bad actors, right? And if you're a large enterprise, you've got a big target on your back. And just as fast as you can vibe code an app, they're working for their meal, right? When that CVE drops, if they don't act fast, if they don't act faster than you do, they don't eat. So there's a lot riding on this. There's a lot riding on this story. And the bad actors have more tools. So we gotta work. I do this. I like to do this, when I wake up in the morning, brew, upgrade. It's just automatic. It's kind of, I got a fresh day. Let's get the fresh operating system. Let's get the fresh updates. Whether you're on Ubuntu or Brew, Chocolatey, I do the same thing, right? I like to be that. And I've done that my whole career. I never wanted to be the person that was on the front page of the news for the wrong reason, right? How many people, maybe you don't know somebody that was affected, but you're probably no more than 3 hops away from somebody that made a mistake or that was responsible, didn't upgrade the POM file, didn't do an upgrade, and their company was on the front page of the news for the wrong reason. We've had quite a few, right? So wouldn't it be nice if we had that same thing? I showed that advisor build config git. We got to get some metadata. That metadata can be used to help you plan your upgrade. Maybe if you've got 100,000 repositories, if you've got 1,000 repositories, they're not all the same priority. Some of them are further behind than others. Some of them are more important to your customers. They're more important to your revenue than others. So getting a 10% boost out of the application that is a revenue generator is probably more important than getting a 10% boost out of the application that's just internal, right? Sometimes it's easy to figure that out, sometimes it's not. But that build config, the metadata that we get out of the application advisor is powerful enough on its own. Providing that metadata, giving you a map of where you should direct your efforts. The next step is as we showed, the apply step or the plan step. With the advisor build config, we're actually gonna run advisor upgrade plan git. And it gives you that plan. In the demo, it was a 9-step plan. They said, hey, first I want you to upgrade from Java 8 to Java 11. The next safest milestone. Then I want you to upgrade from 11 to 17 because we're gonna go to Spring Boot 3. Then we're gonna upgrade from 2.7 to 3. It gives you the safe path, the safe plan to get you to the next step based on what it has. But here's the thing, the advisor only knows about Spring and a few things outside of Spring because customers like you have said, hey, this one's really hard. This one, we use it everywhere and we would like those recipes to be included in the advisor. So now they're included in the advisor. But that's not always gonna work. We've given you some extensions. We've given you a plan. We've given you a path that looks exactly like what the Spring team does. I'm happy to say I get to see inside, I get to see the chat that the Spring team is now working on Spring Framework 7, Spring Boot 4 that are coming out on November 22nd. 3 months away. And what they are already doing is working on those recipes. They're delivering the recipes that are gonna upgrade your Spring Boot 3.5, your Spring Framework 6 stuff to the next version as it comes out. That's powerful stuff. And it's across the entire portfolio. So these are the problems it solves. I kind of show it in discover what needs to be upgraded. Detect the drift is what I like to say, because it's not just about Spring. Here's a little secret. The application advisor, it's got all the Spring recipes in it, but I'm gonna show you in a little bit, it's not just for Spring. Once you use the mapping, once you start to find your common util library, right? Everybody's got a common util security, common util data. You've got these libraries. Those need to be upgraded as well. If they were compiled against Java 8, if they're using old dependencies, they're gonna have to get upgraded before you can upgrade your app that gets deployed. So we've got a little tool that's gonna help. It does. One of the things I like to say is having the application advisor, it's kind of like having the Spring team in the CLI, because you're upgrading your Spring applications the exact same way the Spring team did. Right? You're following the exact same path. That plan that we provide is the exact same path that the Spring team took. Visibility, we got to discover which ones need to get upgraded. This is important. That first step, advisor build config git, that's going to get the metadata. Advisor upgrade plan git says, is there anything for me to do? Am I on the latest and greatest or not? There's the SBOM, we've seen it before. Here's a plan on the right side. Step 1, let's upgrade Spring Cloud Service starters from 3.3 to 3.4. It's a safe step-by-step plan. The other benefit that this gives you, and I've had lots of customers say, like, hey, can I just run them all? Yes, you can, but don't. There's a flag that you can do, squash, that just came out a couple weeks ago, and you can say, yep, run them all. If you've got a bunch of projects that look the exact same and they're going through the exact same upgrade process, you might save yourself a little bit of time. But I don't want you doing this by hand. I don't want you doing this by hand. I don't want you to give this tool this path. I don't want you to give it to developers. I want you to put it into automation. The advisor CLI, this thing that we're looking at, that's just built on top of Open Rewrite, it is designed as a CLI. You can give it to your developers. Of course, let's keep it just for that first pilot to prove it out. But it's meant to be put into your pipelines. Some pipelines, not necessarily your CD pipelines. I'll get to that in a sec. I want you to have continuous migration pipelines. And the Advisor CLI is designed to be ran even in an air-gapped environment. It has a bunch of information that it needs built into the CLI. So, which recipes need to be applied under each of those plans? Those are just the recipes. Those are the open rewrite recipes. Some of them are bundled in, and some of those are actually generated by the CLI itself. So the recipes don't exist in a repository anywhere. They are automatically, dynamically generated by the CLI. Under the covers, this is what it's saying. Under the covers, this is a map. This is a map of Spring Data Commons. And it says, hey, here's the coordinates that you can find it. It's got the version information. And then here in this line here, it says, here's the recipe. To go to Spring Boot or to the 2.2 version of Spring Data Commons, this is the recipe that you're gonna use to get there. So in this map, it includes that. And there's maps like this of all the Spring projects that are built into the Advisor CLI. But there's not a map for Common Util. We're doing the thing. I'm going to step through. Here's the upgrade. Spring is everywhere, but not the only one. Oh, here's some external stuff. Java CFENV. Examples of other things outside of Spring that are pulled in. Semantic versioning helps calculate the upgrade rate, but not everything is doing semantic versioning. And that's okay. As I said, at a minimum, if you're running Application Advisor today, at a minimum, you run across all your repositories, 15% of them are going to be upgraded without opening an IDE, without doing anything. Step by step, you'll get to the latest and greatest, Java 21, Spring Boot 3.5.5. At the high end, 70%. I had a fintech, financial space company, 70% of their applications. So just do some quick math in your head. You've got 100 apps, 100 repositories. 70% of those repositories get upgraded to the latest and greatest version. Still 30% of them not getting upgraded, but let's just say that 70% of those are upgraded and now they're saving 1%. They cost 1% less every day. And then again, that same 70%, even if we did nothing else, if that same 70% that's been upgraded to the latest and greatest, guess what? Advisor doesn't just get you to the latest and greatest, it keeps you on the latest and greatest. And now, in a couple of weeks, when Java 25 comes out, Advisor helps you upgrade that same 70%. You didn't do any other work. That same 70% gets another 1% or fraction of a percent, whatever it is. It stays secure. A new CVE comes out, you get a new version. The automation keeps you going. I don't want you to do any more work. You know what I would love for you to do? I would love for you to be able to run the Application Advisor and get the benefit of that 15% that I know you're gonna get. Don't do anything else. You got enough. It's the end of the year. I don't want to add any more work to your plate. There's going to be problems. You're going to run into that common util, that security library. It used to be security, but now our recipes have gotten better, so it's not security anymore. What was it when you first started? Hibernate? Yep. Hibernate was a big one. Security, Spring Security was a big one, but they're not problems anymore. The recipes have improved. And they continue to improve, so those are not the big issues anymore. The biggest issue that I run into today, anyone want to guess? You both know what it is. Actually, it's the parent POM. That is the biggest thing preventing things from upgrading. And if you saw Yohim's session, he's got a plan. There's a way around it. We've worked with a lot of customers. That is the biggest thing preventing upgrades is when you've taken a Spring Boot and you've wrapped the parent POM around it and you've said, hey, we're going to release this parent POM. And lots of people do it. Lots of organizations that do it, but that is the biggest preventer. That is the biggest problem that doesn't make it automatic out of the box. But it's easy to work around, right? There's ways around it. So hey, here's an example of I've pulled in something and it's got this dependency. It's compiled against an old version of Java, for example. What do I do then? Well, I showed you what a map looks like, and I think we're going down this path. It says, hey, I've detected these versions. So we ran this advisor mapping git. It's just another command from the tool that says, hey, I've got this thing that's preventing me from upgrading. Give me a map for that thing. That's it. A map just like I showed you before. Give me a map for that thing. It goes out and it actually looks at the repository and it determines what releases are coming out of that repository. It determines which versions of Java each of those releases uses so that we can then pull that map in just like we do with all of the things from Spring. So now when I run a plan, if I was blocked by the Acme starter. It's here in dark. I apologize for that. But it was blocked. Now, because it has that map, oh, I know how to upgrade this. because I have the map. I know what versions that Acme starter has. This is the kind of the next phase. Once you've gotten through the 70%, hey, they're automated, automatic. That hot spot, the hard part, that last 30%, this is how you get through that. But I don't want you to do this yet. Get that first 15 to 70% first, and don't do anything else. Here's another outcome. If I told you I just closed 10,000 CVEs, are you happy? If it's at your organization, if I said, hey, I just closed 10,000 CVEs, how do you feel? Do you feel good? Or do you think, oh, how long were those open? Right? It doesn't matter how many I closed, how long were they open? That's the key, right? If those 10,000 CVEs have been open for 10 years, right? I'm not gonna sleep good tonight. I'm gonna stress at how much of our data has been leaked. How at risk are we? Even though it's closed now, how long has a bad actor been getting our information? How long has that bad actor been infiltrating our systems? That's what I'm worried about. Doesn't matter if you close 10,000 CVEs. You're gonna close a bunch of CVEs when you go down this path. Whether you upgrade 15% or 70%, you're going to close a bunch of CVEs. And somebody is gonna say, look at that, we closed a bunch of CVEs. And somebody else is gonna be like, oh no, we closed a bunch of CVEs. Here's the thing, it's okay. That's somebody else's problem. Somebody else is gonna take credit and somebody else is gonna take the heat. The developers that I'm advocating for, you're good. Here's the thing. If we close a bunch of CVEs, we get to the latest and greatest, there's something that nobody else can take credit for. The development teams get credit when our latency improves, when our performance improves, when our customers are happier, because the buttons work and things go faster. We're gonna get credit, you're gonna get credit when you've reduced the amount of money that it costs to run your application at scale. You're gonna get credit when your application starts up faster because you're on the latest JVM, because you're on the latest Spring Boot. You get credit for that. Nobody else in the company is gonna take credit for that. And I want you to have that. So once you get past that 70%, once you get past that first bucket, then we can go in and we can start working at the hard stuff. And we're giving you a path here. We're making these maps so that you can do the stuff, not just for the things that you're blocking, all of it. So if I've got maps for all of my internal libraries, you can see if I had the maps for my common utils, my internal common security, if I'm providing those maps to the advisor, I can start to build the plans, the dynamic plans for your internal libraries, even though you're not using Spring. This is why I say, advisor, it came out of the need for upgrading Spring, but it doesn't stop there. It used to be called Spring Application Advisor. We dropped the Spring part, right? Once you see how this works, customers always ask like, oh, can we do this for .NET? Can we do this for C#? There are recipes, and you can pull in the recipes for other language frameworks, but this one's built for Java. And as you might understand, when our customers ask for something, we're probably working on that. So just stay tuned. We'll see. Maybe that's why I needed the disclaimer part, is because maybe we'll have that in the future. So we did our mapping build, and this part over here, this is how I'm passing in my mappings. I have a catalog. A lot of you have a catalog of mappings for things that were external. They were outside of the Spring project, or it was your internal projects. You went out and you built this mappings file that said, here's how I get my common utils to the next version. Here's common utils 1.0 is using Java 8, common util 4.0 is using Java 17. And you build that mapping, just put it into a repository. That's the way I like. You can pass it in on the file system, but it shouldn't be in the hands of your developers. So put it into a Git repository that's available to your pipelines. And now you're gonna go from 15% to 70% or to 80%. We're gonna get through each one of those libraries that we build a map for and we start to build upgrades for. We get another chunk forward. We get another chunk of software that is going to be continuously upgraded, continuously migrated. That's benefit. And it'll show up in those advisor upgrade plan apply. Developers. We had a customer earlier this week talk about it was saving them 70% of time. 40 to 50%, I think that's modest, that's conservative by a long way. What does it look like? What does an upgrade plan look like? Each of those steps, what happens after each step? What happens after you apply it? I'm gonna jump. Best practices. It's your Spring sidekick for building secure apps. Yeah, I'm gonna jump through these slides because I wanna show some fun stuff. We did advisor advice. We can go into the advice. It's not just about upgrading. Actually, I'm gonna stay away from the advice. Wouldn't it be cool if you had something that was like the best practices from the Spring team? This is one of the questions that I get all the time. How would the Spring team do this? Is this the Spring way? Can you look at my code and tell me if this is the Spring way? They want some validation. Wouldn't it be cool if you had a tool that you could say, hey, advisor advice, give me some advice about this. And you got the best practices from the Spring team. When we identified that, hey, you're still using the defaults for your connection pooling, we identify that right away and say, hey, maybe you should look at this. Oh, we noticed that you're using Oracle, but you're still using the Hikari connection pooling. Maybe you should upgrade to the UCP. Wouldn't that be neat? Yeah, it's there. There's some stuff there. It's still early days, but yeah, this is kind of coming. Once you got the upgrade stuff, then you want a little bit more. But I'm gonna stay on the upgrades for just a moment. Let's do this. There's an MCP server, but I don't want it in the hands of developers, so I'm not even gonna show that. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna do this. I want you to understand, I've taken this. I said, hey, for this organization, for this GitHub org or Bitbucket team, I think it is in Bitbucket, or the GitLab org, I want to pass in, the org is called the Sean-demo, and there's 7 repositories there. This is automation. So this little tool that you can go download, it says, hey, give me the GitHub org that I wanna go scan. Give me a Maven username and password so I can get the advisor tool. Give me a Docker username and password so I can download all of the things that I need from Docker without getting blocked. And it walks through and it says, hey, it's a pipeline. You can do this in Jenkins, you can do this in GitHub Actions. The idea is I want this to run, I want it to run every 3 hours. Why do I want it to run every 3 hours? I want it to run every 3 hours because the CVEs that get published from the Spring team, here's what happens. A security researcher says, hey, Spring team, we think we found a CVE. We think we found something. They send it to the Spring team. The Spring team then validates it. But here's what happens. When the Spring team finds a true vulnerability, what they do is they create a patch first. This has been the way of Spring since the beginning. They create a patch first. If we're still on Spring Boot 3.5, which is the current OSS release, it will go into Maven Central. And that patch will be there before we publish the CVE to those CVE databases. The Mitra, the NIST, those databases, they don't get notification until there's a patch. That's pretty nice. Thank you, Spring team. Because what that means is the bad actors, they get the notification from those databases. Those databases get updated every 3 hours, at least. That's the fastest. So that's why I want to update it every 3 hours. Because if there's a new CVE in something from Spring, I know that the patch is already there. So I'm running these every 3 hours to make sure that my applications are staying upgraded. Does that make sense? So all I did here is go through the steps. This is kind of one of those things. I have automation in my automation. When we're doing this at scale, I don't want these things, if I've got 100,000 repositories, I don't want these things running every 3 hours all the time and creating new patches if there's already a patch there. So what I've done is I've said, hey, if there is an open PR already for this repository that I created from the advisor, from my pipelines, if there's already a PR that I created, stop. Because I don't want the developers, I don't want to create 9 pull requests. I don't want to be recreating, doing stuff. It's already there. If I recreate it, it's got the same name, it'll just be a waste of time. So I'm looking, but if that pull request is more than 30 days old, again, I've done this for a while. If that pull request is more than 30 days old, I want to delete it. If I had already created an update and it's 30 days, I want to delete it and then I'll recreate it. But I don't want to do that every time because I do this with customers at scale. So that's just one of those little tricks. When I'm trying to upgrade, I'm trying to not just get to the latest and greatest, I want to stay on the latest and greatest. But here's the other thing. I don't want this to be a big effort where I've got to pull all of you off of what you're doing in order to do the upgrade. I want to meet you where you're at. I know that between 15 and 70% are going to get upgraded automatically. We're in good shape, but I need a little bit of help. So I've got automation that's creating these pull requests. It's just using the advisor tool. It's pulling in those external mappings. Here's an example of my external mapping. This is the repository that I use, that I've given to my advisor CLI. I've got a repository of mappings. Here it is. Feel free to use it. Spring Cloud GCP. Even on a fast computer, it takes about 2 hours to run the first time, about 20 minutes to update. They're doing a lot of work on it, so I'll save you a little bit of time. But this is the experience I want. You went to bed, everything's fine. You wake up in the morning, you hit your pull requests. I had automation overnight, things updated. I got a pull request. If these are mine, I can go and I'm watching it. Hey, I got a pull request. Maybe I can do something, but maybe I'm busy. Maybe I'm busy on something else. I'm not forcing you to upgrade. And this is, again, there was kind of 3 patterns as customers were trying to upgrade, do this automation migration at scale. The first pattern was, don't worry, I'll do it for you. Actually, the first one was, stop. I could run this OpenRewrite recipe. I could say, hey, is there a diff? You're not on the latest and greatest. Sorry, you can't go to production. I used to like that one, but it has other problems. The second was, hey, don't worry, I'll just do it for you. Like, I see that Spring Boot 3.5.6 has come out. You're on 3.5. I'll upgrade it for you, and then I'll go to production. But in some companies, like Netflix, they have a little, their culture, a culture of responsibility says, the team that's working on App A knows exactly how much App A costs. They know exactly how much App A makes them, and they know exactly how much an outage will affect them, right? And at that scale, it's real money. It's real customers on the other end of that. So the platform team, the team that's providing this automation, they can't say, I'll do it for you. All they can do is say, please, here's a pull request. Please merge it. Right? That platform team, the one that's doing the operations, the infrastructure, they want those teams to go from Java 8 to Java 11 to 17 to 21. They want them to be on the more efficient version of Java, but they can't tell you what to do. All they can do is submit a pull request and say, please. And we figured that out. A lot of customers like that approach. They don't want to have something that's automatically upgrading them from 2.6 all the way to 3.5. Because if anything broke in there, what are you doing? You're going from 2.6 to 2.7, 2.7 to 3.0 until you find the problem, then you stop. And we learn from that. So this is why we take this step-by-step small milestone approach to do it at scale. Am I making sense so far? I'll pause. Are there any questions so far? Have I gone too fast? Are you staying with me? Yeah. It is not a complete replacement for something like Dependabot. That is a great question. Is it a complete replacement for something like Dependabot? Are you still using Dependabot? Yeah. Yeah. You can still use Dependabot. But what Dependabot is not doing is the code changes. Let's take a look here. Let's see if I can find something interesting. I do this a lot. I have these demos, but you remember I didn't have all the IDs. Let's do this. We should be good. This is going to take Spring Pet Clinic. And again, this is a hands-free one. And it's going to upgrade something more complex, right? Something that's got a lot of stuff. Spring Pet Clinic is a reference implementation of a lot of the patterns that you find in Spring. It's going to do the same thing. Hey, let's clone the repository. This is just like what you would have in your pipelines. But remember, I said it's not pipelines. It's not your CD. It's not continuous delivery. It's CM. So it's going to go in and check, and it's going to grab some values. I'm going to let that run in the background so that we can look at the diff later. I want you to see some of the stuff that it's changing under the covers. And I'm going to go back over here. I want to show you this to make sure this hits. We've been delivering software to production quickly, right? The DORA metrics. We've been measuring ourselves on how many releases we can take to production every week. But a lot of us, me included, I was more worried about hitting that DORA metric, that number of releases, than I was about patching my software. So I was delivering fast, but at what cost? So the other thing is that the path to production, it's kind of sacred. It's an important part of what's happening inside of your company. And first of all, I didn't want to fight the fight. To be honest, I didn't want to fight the fight, the political fight of, oh yeah, we'll integrate this into your CI/CD process. But it's different, and I've learned that. I realized that it's a different process. As you can see below, I have this CICM, continuous migration process. This is the way I like to deliver it. It's a separate pipeline. Whether you're using Jenkins or not, it doesn't have to be on the same as your CI/CD. It's a separate pipeline. And all that pipeline is doing is submitting PRs. Detect the drift, do the rewrite, right? We had our build config, we got our plan. If there is a step in the plan, do it. Do that rewrite, give them that pull request. Now, there's an advanced step. The advisor, when it creates a pull request, it creates a pull request and it puts it onto a new branch. So you can have something that's looking for those new branches with that special name, and you can name it whatever you want in your pipeline. It's looking for that special name. And then let's validate that pull request. Let's run the unit tests, the smoke tests, the integration tests on that pull request independently. So when I'm going to my GitHub and I see my pull requests, if I had done it on this one, maybe I'd open it up. And in my notes here, because I validated it, all my tests have passed. I have a link to my other pipeline in Jenkins. It says all my tests have passed. What that does, it makes it really easy. This is a simple one. Hey, we bumped some versions. But it makes it really easy for me to go and click this merge pull request button when I see that, hey, that pipeline, that branch has been validated. It makes it really easy to click this. You've got other stuff on your plate. I want to make this as easy as possible for you. I know that you're going to get some percentage. You're not going to have to do anything other than merge this pull request. There's going to be things that are going to break and they're going to say, hey, we've got another thing that we need to map. I can't do this upgrade but it's going to give you a direction. It's going to point you in the right direction to what to do next. But in order to go from wherever you're at today to being on the latest and greatest, N-0, this is the path. This is how easy it is. This is all the work that I want you to do. Let's build some pipelines. Let's do it at scale. I'm here to help. And when you get stuck, let's figure out what percentage we're upgrading without opening an IDE. And once you get to the hard stuff, I'm here to help. The advisor has a tool called the mapping, the advisor mapping functionality. That's going to help you through the next step. And then this time next year, I want you to come back and I want you to brag. I want you to come up on stage, actually, and I want you to tell me how this process worked for you. I want you to be able to come up here and brag that, hey, you checked this morning and you're on the latest and greatest version of Spring Boot for your flagship app. My name is Deshaun Carter. I'm a Spring Developer Advocate. I love my job and I'm happy to be here. If you've got any questions, feel free to come up and ask. Thank you so much for your time. Any questions? Any questions? Any at all? Yes, you in the front who I've never met.
The slide that was showing the Acme Spring Boot starter.
Yep. Yep.
That's also trying to align it with
Yes. The question is, hey, I've gone out and done this map of the Acme Spring Boot starter. Does the advisor then align that upgrade with everything else that it's doing? Yes, whether it's Spring Boot or it's another library that you've got mapped. If there's no Spring Boot in it and it's just your other internal libraries, it will align those libraries. So even if there's no Spring Boot and it's just a bunch of mappings for your internal libraries, it will align them and it will do a step-by-step upgrade process. Yeah, in that process, it'll go through your Java versions.
So at one point there was a dashboard or UI advisor.
Yes. My name is Deshaun. I'm a developer advocate. I'm not in sales. But if you want to have a nice view, an integrated view of all of that stuff, imagine your thousands of repositories. The Tanzu platform allows you to take that build config along with all the things that it's learning, and it'll put it into a nice UI for you. And it'll give you a nice view. And actually, I think there's a slide for that. But I didn't want to get there. Yeah. So you can have it provide that dashboard, and that's a part of Tanzu platform. So you can get a view of, hey, where is all of this information? Which project should I focus on next? The revenue one, right? The one that we're using internally. Where should I focus? The one that's still on Java 5, right? Oh, I also have a lot of stories that we'll do off mic, right? But yeah, that is a feature and that's a feature that's in Tanzu platform. So you can take all this information across all your repositories and you can have it aggregated to give you a nice idea of where should I go? Which line of business needs the most help? Where should we focus our efforts? Good question. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and I'll be honest. The customers that I've seen that do have the integration with Tanzu Hub, with the Tanzu platform, those customers are finding that most of your companies have something that's doing a scan, but maybe it's using the SBOMs, maybe it's got some idea about when to upgrade, but there's another feature here. We get a new Spring Boot version every 6 months. We get a new Java version every 6 months. So there's also other libraries that you're using, they go out of support. So another capability that this platform does that the scanners, the things that your security team doesn't have, is how much time do we have with support? And that's another thing that now the security team is like, oh, I kind of want that. Because even if this one has a 10, CVE, it's only internal. Wouldn't it be nice? We've got production revenue generating apps over here that only have 2 more months of support. Maybe we want to focus on those instead of the one that has a higher CVE that's only internal. It's nice to have that information. So yeah, it is kind of a next level, and in addition to what you have in place already. Good question. Any others? My name is Sean. I love my job. Thank you for your time.